right, welcome, welcome. Let's hope everything's good. I think it should be. Nice. Okay. I'm just gonna open up a new browser tab. I'll just get up the Drizzle docs just to have. That's not what I wanted. Drizzle. I was looking up the definition of draconian earlier. Okay, here we go. All right, so let's go to query data, and then we'll go to our update. I think the only thing we have left, well, there's a couple things I want to do. So the first thing, let me just make sure my chat is up. Yo, 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 how's it going, Salty? How's it going, Satyam? New badge, yes. New badge. I uploaded badges all the way till, yo, how's it going, Fairs? I uploaded badges all the way until 4 years of membership, so I'm committed. I have different colors. So after a month, Salty, it'll turn like a teal color. How's it going, Sword? How much drive clone is pending? So today I'm going to get into the plan. So the first thing is our drive controller. It's kind of a long file. It's like 189 lines. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to separate out the middleware for the directories and the files into separate files. Yo, Ferris, I'm doing well. I hope you're doing well. It's nice to see you. But yeah, so that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to separate out that, and then I'm going to, what we have to do left is renaming of directories and then deletion of files and directories, which should be easy. The deletion should be easy. And then after that, I think we're ready to start on the front end. Getting like the front end flows done of like uploading files and stuff like that. Like, I think the back end, at least the core part of the CRUD loop, is going to be done hopefully today. Can't wait to get done with Odin Project, bro. I'll try to accelerate things tomorrow. Yeah, it's a long journey, Sword. I will warn you. Like, I've been on this file uploader thing for like well over a month at this point. So, you know, it takes time. And like the other thing too is like, I was kind of talking about this in the Discord. I don't have much time to dedicate to coding not on stream. So like all the progress I make is live pretty much, at least for the last like month. So yeah, anyway, is file uploaded part of the Odin project? Yeah, it's the end of the node course, Sword. It's the end of the, or near the, it's about 60% through the node course. Okay. So yeah, they do. So let me go through, well, it's just like a pared down Google Drive. So if I go to the Odin project here, let me go to node, and I go to my project. It basically says we'll be building a stripped down version of Google Drive or any other personal storage service. That's basically what it is. But I'm using my own tooling. They recommend to use Express and Prisma with Passport. I'm using Hano, Drizzle, and Betteroff. Right, so I have a bit of a different stack than they have. Mine's, you know, more modern. These sorts of things. Okay. But yeah, so let's create. So this is drive controller. Let's rename this guy to drive file controller, and then we're gonna duplicate this. Actually, we can just Control C, Control V, and then we'll rename to drive. Well, actually, drive directory controller. So then we're going to delete all of the file queries from this one. So we don't need file get. Okay. Then drive new dir post we need. Drive init root post we need. Drive file update. No, we don't need. Then drive dir update put is another thing we need too. There we go. And then so we can remove those two, the dir ones from this other file. Drive init root. Wait. Yeah. And then drive dir update put we don't need either. Okay. Now, these imports are gonna be from the wrong location, right? So what we're gonna have to do is we're gonna have to say import drive init root post drive new dir post drive dir update. And then I'm gonna remove these imports. There, now we've kind of separated concerns a little bit. Okay, it's a little better. Now I have the file middlewares and the directory middlewares in different files. How much time do you think it would take to get done with 50% of the course? Also, can you show front end of the drive if you made any? Yeah, sure, I can show the front end. Yo, how's it going, XLMR? If you followed what they advised, it would take less time. Probably, yeah, Sword. It definitely would, actually. For 50% of the course, I don't know. I think it took me around maybe 3 or 4 months, if I had to say. So PNPM, if I could type. Okay, so I'll show the front end. I'll do a little showcase. So the front end hasn't really had any updates in a while. So you can see that we're logged in here. We've got a little nav section. Or like a sidebar where we can like create new file, new folder, and then look at our recent start and trash. And then we can also like log out, and we could sign in. And then I think that's the right credentials. Yeah, exactly. There we go. So this is all the front end is, but we do have the auth loop working, which is good. So cool. Now we just need the API we just need the API. We also need the database open as well. So let's get that open. Okay, so there's our database. Okay. So the next order of business, I think that was done. I think we did this. Good. Implement file modification, renaming. And then this is also for directories. So I think we need to do that for the directories. I don't think we did directory renaming. If I remember correctly. Drive dir update put. Dir 2 ID, so that's for movement. And then we also need a dir new name. All right, so that's kind of going to mirror, it's going to be similar to, actually we can just call it new name. Okay. And then so we get our directory. Then we make sure that the directory exists. And we make sure that the directory it's being moved to exists. And then we move it. Okay, so but what we need to do now is we need to, okay, so we check that the directory exists. Okay. And then the next thing we need to do is we need to, because like with the issue with the file controller, we could rename the directory, we could rename it, move it, or both, but not neither, right? So what we have to do is we have to check that condition. So we actually don't need this yet. So this can go. And then so we do dir exists. So what we're going to do is we're going to say if not dir 2 ID and not new name, return c.json. Success is false and not z.success. And then message. What was the message I had for this one? Nothing to update, yeah. Okay. Yo, how's it going, Kuma? Welcome, welcome. Okay, so that's good. So then we're going to have early exit if we don't define either of those queries, right? And, okay, so then how do we handle it from there? So we check that there's nothing to update, and then we get the updated file here. So what we're going to do is we're going to say let updated dir. Is this already a thing that exists? And then we're going to declare it as type of dir exists or undefined. Okay. And then we're going to say if dir2id, similar to this, then we're going to do the directory movement part. Right? So, except instead of const dir move, we're going to say updated dir. And then if updated dir, although we actually don't need this, right? We don't need this clause yet. Now, we have a typed conflict. Oh, because this dir exists is select dir by ID. Does this return a dir? Yeah. Update dir move only returns a parent ID. Okay, so what we're going to actually have to do is update the query. Is it possible to do 50% of the course in a month? That's going to be tricky, Sword. What's your reasoning for switching to a more modern approach, even though it takes more time? What's the advantage? Just because like the tooling's newer and it's more relevant. If I was using tools that are like 10 years old, they're not as relevant for modern web development. So I'm trying to learn tools that are modern. I'm using Hano, Jordan. You can actually read about the full stack here. Yeah, working on. I have information about the stack in that paste bin. Okay, so I'm going to actually need to update the select dir by ID. Or no. Update dir move. I'm going to need to do returning everything. I want to return everything, which fixes the type error. Oh wait, but I want this open too. All right, so then that's good. And then we're going to say if new name. Then we're going to do the renaming, right? However, we need to write the query for that first. And then that's going to be, we need the user ID. This is going to be very similar to what we've been doing. Why is it read? ID is directory entity, type ID, and then the new name is directory entity name, right? Okay. Then we're going to do a try catch. The other one the other file I should probably split up is this queries file. It's getting long. We're probably close to 300 lines. The BenStack TM, yes. Am I using Cloudflare workers? No. I'm not using Claude Code. I don't use any AI actually. It was just autocomplete that was bugging. But no, I don't use any AI, man. I don't know if you're like being facetious, but I made a video about deskilling like yesterday. You're addicted to it? Got you. The monitor tool that you're using allows for more features because it doesn't look like it's making things easier on the programmer side since it takes more time. Well, it's just about the learning, Sword. Like, I'm doing a full stack project. The project description only asks for a backend. It doesn't ask for it to be full stack. I'm doing full stack because I'm making my life difficult. But I'm doing my approach. Like, you can do it any way, you know, you want. Like, you can follow directly what they're saying. I've seen a lot of YouTube videos recently all feeling burnt out from using AI too much. Yeah, well, I hope that there is a coding renaissance, guys, like a manual coding renaissance. And I'm going to be the leader of the manual coding movement. I'm just kidding. I'm just joking. There are a lot more people out there that are better than me, but I'm just being kind of sarcastic. Okay. So we need to do this. So we need to do if not ID, then return. And then we'll say const updated directory is equal to db.select, or not select, dot update, directory entity dot set. I think it's parent ID is, oh no. It's just name, is new name. Dot where and equals user ID or directory entity dot user ID, and the ID is the same. Directory entity dot ID is ID. And then we're going to say if updated dir 0, dot returning. Right, of course. Now, if updated dir 0, why does this not like this? This shouldn't have a, oh, wait. That's why. Await DB update. I missed the fact that they only asked for backend, yeah. Well, I see you keep using try catch everywhere. Use a centralized async handler so you don't have to write try catch over and over again. Maybe in a future project. I'm fine with writing try catch right now. I feel like if I take on too many optimizations in one project, it makes it really difficult for me to manage. Because again, this project is about it's just one step along the way, right? So I'm going to do things how I want to do them for this project, but that's like I agree. Try catch everywhere is not the best thing, right? But for me, I'm trying to just limit. Like, I don't want to learn too many things in one project because then I'll be stuck doing that project forever and kind of tweaking and tinkering with it, for ages. And that's not really what I want to do. I kind of want to finish this project and then move on. And it's okay. I'm okay with the fact that it isn't perfect. You like the way I learn? Well, I appreciate that. Yeah, no, and it's not that like I think that, async handler that you mentioned is a good idea. It's just, yeah, it's like when you put too much on your plate at once, it kind of can get overwhelming, especially if you're still new to this stuff, which despite some people thinking that I'm an expert, I'm very much not, and I'm very much a beginner. How many hours a day would it take to get done with 50% in a month? Based on my pace, probably like, I don't know, 6 hours maybe. But that's like, it varies sort of. Like, it depends on how fast you work. And I wouldn't try to rush through it, right? Like, there's no shortcuts. But I would say 6 hours a day for a month, maybe. I don't know. That's like ballpark. But again, it could be 8 hours for you. It could be 2. I don't know. It could be 12. Genuinely. No idea. Updated. Okay, and I don't probably need that final return. Okay, that's good. Missed opportunity to say 6, 7. Yeah, well, that's fine. I don't mind that. How's it going, Anonymous? Welcome. Okay, so we need to check that the file exists, right? So const new, and the other thing with the try catch, I should say, is just to catch query errors. I'm catching errors inside of my middleware kind of as it goes. Which again, is this the best approach? Absolutely not, but it's the way that makes sense to me right now. Okay, so new dir new name exists equals await drive query dot select dir by name. So we need the user ID, and then the dir. I guess I could just call this dir. I don't really need dir exists. I could just call this the directory, but then things are going to get confusing. Well, that's fine. Okay, dir.parent ID, and then dir name is the new name, right? And then so what we need to do is we need to say if dir new name exists, then we return c.json. Well, actually, we have to be careful because this dir2 ID could have succeeded, right? So I don't actually know how I handle that here. If new name, if new success false message file with that name, new name already exists, right? Okay, so that's fine. Directory with name, new name already exists. There we go. What's the purpose of C? What do you mean? Oh, C? C is context. So basically this is like your request response. It stores your request and response data for the HTTP communication. That's basically what this is. It's a very HANA way of handling it. It's just all in one variable. So you can do c.res or c.rec, sorry, to get the request data, and then if you just do c.json, this is if you use like JSON c.text, that'll send back a response. If that makes any sense, I hope that makes sense. Okay. It's new name, and then we'll say const update, or well, actually we just say updated dir is equal to await drive query dot what would it be? Update dir rename user.id dir.id new name, right? And then now we can say if updated dir exists, then we can actually, well, we'll just go this. We'll say return c.json success was true. Oh, it keeps automatically. I need the Zod in here so that I can do validation later, but it's kind of annoying. Success true, and then data is updated dir, right? Otherwise, we're gonna return c.json success. Actually, I think do we return or do we throw an HTTP exception? Yeah. We throw an HTTP exception. Because if after all of this nothing was caught and there's no updated dir defined, then we have an error. But this should never really happen. So it's just like our last case thing. Okay, so that's good. Then why not just rec and res? What's the purpose of doing it this way? That's just the way the Hano does it. That's just the Hano specification. Like if you go to like let's go to the Hano documentation, and we go to middleware. Well, actually not that. Concepts middleware. Here we go. Yeah, so you just use this is just the way that it works inside of Hano. And then if I go to where was the contexts? There's like an explanation of it. So it's for Cloudflare workers, I guess, or on Cloudflare workers. I don't know. The only reason I'm using Hano is because it's runtime agnostic, and it's well, actually I didn't know that before, but it also is like Express but has nicer syntax. That's literally the only reason I'm using it. Because like I could just as easily use Express. Good night. It's 4 a.m. Try increasing my study hours tomorrow. So yeah, sounds good, Sword. yeah, so you can use Zod for validating stuff, which is good. And I should be doing that more, to be honest with you. However, I am validating with Zod in the front end. I know that's not really enough, but and these are all typed for what it's worth. I don't know. You're always gonna be. There's always gonna be room for improvement, right? Like we've got our types here for our parameters and stuff, but there's always gonna be room for improvement. So anyway, all right. So that's good. I think that's fine. Now I think we can rename files, right? So if we try to rename a file, we got to get up our postman. Okay. Now let's just do a cheeky little login here. So we'll do a API auth sign in email, and then we'll do our email and then our password. And then we'll just log in. Okay. We logged in, and then now we can do our drive, dir, and then the name of the thing, right? And then this is a put as well. So let's go to our thing, our database here. So we have 3 directory entities. We have the root, the journal, and the documents. The other thing we should be allowed to, the other thing we should prevent, now that I think about it, is we have to check when we do any of the directory updating, we have to make sure it's not the root. So that I'm going to add that after, but we can't update the root. The root should not be allowed to be moved or renamed. So we have to do an auto exit if dir is so we have to do like if dir dot is root, return c.json success message cannot modify the root directory. Something like this, right? Do you have a front-end UI that you can show? Yeah, I have a little UI that I can pull up. Just a second. Sure. It's good timing for the break too. But this is my front-end UI. It's basically just got the auth loop. I'm using shadcn as a component library. But it's just literally there's no functionality here yet except for the authentication. Like I can sign out, I could go and create an account, I could go sign in. And if I put in like a malformed email, it's going to say invalid email address, which is cool. So we've got that all working. So yeah. So there's all that stuff that we wrote in as well. We're using React hook forms with Zod for that. To catch the front-end errors before, before submission. The only other thing is there's sometimes if the user puts in like an incorrect password, that's from the server. So the server knows to like through its middleware to spit back out that the password's incorrect. But yeah, that's using BetterOff as well. So I do have to add Zod validations probably in this middleware, but that'll come later, I think. But yeah. You have a question. Have you always been strictly following Odin Project? Or are you kind of on your own journey? I'm kind of both. So I used the Odin Project more heavily when I was earlier on in my journey, but as I've kind of learned more and more things, I've branched out. So I'm using the Odin Project as like a general guide, but I'm not using it as like I'm not sticking to it exactly. I'm just more so using it as an idea generator for projects. Like, so once we do this file uploader, I'll go through these API. We're probably going to be super good at this after a while, but we're going to go through this API stuff and then the testing, and then we're going to build a couple full stack projects, and then we're going to be done, really. You use Prisma, nice. What's the best roadmap to be a full stack? I followed the Odin Project unknown. That's just, you know, what I recommend. It's free. You can kind of, you know, it's very modular. You can do with whatever you want with it, kind of. Like, I mean, you don't have to follow it to the letter, you know. It's kind of useful for, you know, giving you some guidance. Yeah, like REST APIs, yeah. So technically REST APIs aren't introduced until the lesson after, but we've already kind of been dipping our feet in it a little bit. So yeah, it's not you know, I could probably really, like, we've literally gone over these concepts somewhat through building this project, but yeah. I do intend on finishing Odin Project, even if it kills me, because I'm very close. I've only got like a third of the node course left. But you know how, as they say, it takes 80 or what is it? It takes 20% of the time to do 80% of the work, and vice versa. And then it takes 80% of the time to do 20% of the work, right? Which is that kind of where we are now. At least that's how it seems, right? So, you know, we're in that 20%, that final 20% that's taking us 80% of the time. What's that called again? There's a name for that. It's like the 80-20 rule. It has another name, but I think it's just like the 80-20 rule. I think it's named after somebody, but I can't remember off the top of my head. Reason I mention it is because I want to learn about REST APIs with Python. Nice. That's I mean, you can learn about the concept of REST APIs anywhere, but that's really cool. How do you support myself? I work. I have a full-time job, Dylan. Pareto rule. Yeah. That's it. That sounds familiar. You're at the beginning of the JavaScript module. Nice. But no, I work a full-time job on top of streaming. Don't like JS, to be honest. That's totally fair. Yesterday, the supporters and I kind of, you know, tried out Go for the first time. I was doing a little bit of Go programming, and honestly, like, it's so much cleaner than JavaScript. Like, JavaScript on the back end, like, yikes. Like, I don't know if I'm gonna do it past like the next few projects. Like, it's fine because I've been doing it up to this point, but like, I kind of like, I realize there's a whole new world. Dev job? No, not a dev job. Okay. Let's see. I chose Python because I'm sick of both JS and Next.js, and I want to move to Svelte. Nice. Yeah, I think JavaScript's fine for front end. It's just back end. Like, I don't know. Like, I get it now when like developers are like, JavaScript should have never been put on the back end. Like, I understand it. Especially if you like learn starting from a full stack framework and then you don't really understand like the difference between a client and a server. Like, to me, that's like fundamental, right? So, all right, so that should be good. Let me just check. I went with C# due to familiarity. I might try out Go eventually. Nice. There's nothing wrong with C#. I just don't like Windows, frankly. So no C# for me. You did Go in secret? No, I didn't do Go in secret. I did it on my supporter stream yesterday. If you become a supporter of the channel, you can... No, I'm just kidding. But you can, technically, there's one supporter stream a week. Yeah. It's the supporter stream. It's hard to get a junior web dev job without degree and commercial experience only. Is it hard? I don't know, because I've never had a web dev job. But I would imagine it's difficult without a degree. Python for backend is good. That's fair, Mob. I just started learning HTML, CSS at Bootstrap and want to continue. What do you think? I think Bootstrap is a little dated. Maybe I would try to learn Tailwind instead. But, you know, you can do what you like, of course. Like, if you want to learn Bootstrap, then go for it. I got a new 1440p monitor yesterday, and holy crap, it's amazing. Yeah, Salty, I will say, okay, before I like test this, I will say that I have a 1440p gaming monitor in my office at home, like in the apartment, but I'm visiting family and I have to use a 10-year-old 1080p monitor. And this is a 10-year-old 1080p monitor, and it's like the difference is like night and day, right? Like this is a 60 hertz 1080p monitor, and it's like yuck, you know. But you do it; it's only for 2 weeks. It's not a big deal. So you're juggling C and Go right now, or still settling? Yeah, I'm doing both innovation. I'm doing C publicly just to vary the streams up. I think I don't mind doing multiple different things because like it keeps the streams interesting. So I don't mind kind of juggling around a few different. Learning a few different languages because it just kind of makes it more fun and kind of varies the streams a bit, you know. Have you got a pick of your setup? No, I don't, but I'll take one when I go home. XLMR. I'm not in my current setup. I'm in a temp setup right now. React is really, really good and I like it a lot, but it gets so much for full apps. Yeah. Which OS am I using? I'm using Mac OS Tahoe. I think. Is it Tahoe? I think that's what it's called, right? Yeah. Anyway. I mean, it's not too bad. Go's kind of like C with garbage collection, and the web bros probably like it. Yeah, I'm using Go. Yeah, on the supporter streams. But the C streams I'm taking public due to much demand. I received like 5 separate DMs from people on Discord saying, please do C streams publicly. I don't want it to be paywalled. And I'm like, all right, fine. Fair enough. The public is spoken. What do you think about cybersecurity as a field? I think it's a really good field to get into. Personally, I know not a lot. I know a few people in cybersec that are making good money. C is hype, not gonna lie. Yeah, exactly. No, I'm gonna warn you though. The C stream. Okay, so the C stream's on Friday. We're gonna be doing basic stuff. Like I think the next topic is like typecasting. So it's gonna be like really ABCs for a while, but we're using Vim as well. So it's also learning Vim on the side. We're no VS Code like soy boy VS Code. We're using Vim as well for the C streams only, because using Vim for web dev is like forget it. Okay, so let's go here. But yeah, okay, so let's try and rename the journal to something else. So if we go this and then we say query new name is equal to I don't know what we should call it, like diary maybe. Okay, let's see if this renames. Okay, it does actually. That worked. First try. Decent. Now it's called diary instead of journal. That's cool. Now if we try to rename the root, it shouldn't work, right? So if we do the root ID, yeah, cannot modify the root directory. There we go. Very good. Nice. May I ask why you're learning web dev? I heard because of Claude Code the field is dead. You are not the first to ask that, my friend. I'm learning web dev primarily because I want to. I don't care. It doesn't concern me that the field is dead. I think web dev is a very good way to begin learning software development in general, as it gives you a lot of the foundational skills that can be transferred to many different areas of software development. And web dev is important because, you know, the internet is huge, and understanding web dev is in my opinion, valuable to build any kind of software. Have you used Linux? I heard that you can customize everything, but I've never used it. Web dev's also, yeah, that's the other thing. Web dev's also not dead. It's just changing. Yeah, exactly. Salty's right. But yes, I have used Linux XLMR. I have Linux on my gaming PC. It's changing, but not dev. Been in it for 10 years. Nice. Nice. Yeah, I've only been learning coding for what, like 3? For like 3 years. Okay, so the other thing that we need to do. Wait, so when we check the name, select file by name, we're selecting it in that directory, right? Select file by name. Oh, you know what else we probably need to do? So if the file, so this isn't going to work. Directory with name documents already exists. The other thing we're going to need to do is we can rename a file that's the same as another file if it's not in the same parent directory, right? So if new file exists and new file exists dot parent ID, or wait, does this give us, what does this return? Oh, this is our file controller. My bad. It's not our dir controller. I mean our dir controller. So if dir name exists, dir new name exists, and dir new name exists dot parent ID is equal to dir dot parent ID. Because we only want to prevent naming the same thing if it's in the same in dir dot parent ID already exists. So this should still fail, right? Directory with name documents in, oh, dir dot parent name, I guess, in this directory, I guess. Yeah, that's fine. Okay. Now, but if we were to move it to a separate directory, then it should be fine. So if we move this file into the documents, right? So let's go to let's say dir2 ID is equal to this one. Then we move it. Okay, that's good. And now we should be able to rename it. So we can do new name is equal to documents. And this should be fine because its parent is different. So now we see two documents here, but the parents are different, right? So that's good. Why am I not using JWT token instead of sending email and password as body in the requests? What do you mean? Like for the, well, so basically how this is working is you make a good point, Moz, but basically I have a validation middleware. So if I go to my index, we handle, for every route, we do a session validation. So that session validation uses BetterAuth's get session to make sure that the user is authenticated. If it's not, it sets the user in the session to null, and then every time that we do a query, we check if the user is defined inside of the as a context variable. So yeah, that's kind of how we're handling that. So if we try to send a request without logging in, it won't work. So like for instance, let's say, okay, so let me show you, give you an example. So we've got a cookie that has our session in it, right? If we delete this and then try to send another request to here, let's try to rename it again. Let's try to rename it to like new name, or this file, this dir or whatever. It's going to say unauthorized request, right? So what we have to do first is we have to log in. So we have to go to auth or API auth sign in email, and then do a put for or a post for that. Sign in, have that cookie in here, and then we can go back. And then if we try to do our put update there, then that'll work, right? And then now you can see that the name is changed to this dir. Like that. Yes, but why do you need to include email and password if you have the cookie already present? That seems redundant. Where are you talking about? Oh, you mean for the... Like, I don't know where you're saying the user and password's included. The user and password's for posting the login. You need a user and password to log in. Yeah, the body's just left over from previous requests. Yeah, exactly. The body, I'm not using the body. I should make that clear. The only things that are being used for these requests, the bodies just, don't ignore this. Yeah, this isn't actually being used. Hardcore is right. So you need to sign in, have a cookie, and the dir name will change. Might be wrong. No, so what you need to do is you need to sign in to make any requests to the backend. to modify directories XMR. So you basically, you can't make requests to the API without being authenticated. Yeah, no, you're all good, Moz. I appreciate you. Hey man, your videos are great. I'm a CS student and I'm currently focusing on cybersecurity. Any advice? My advice to you would be to not over rely on AI. That would be my advice. Despite what your peers might be doing. I think still having the hard skills is valuable. And from what I can tell you, maybe they won't value it once you're in the job, but to actually get a job, many employers still value people that know what they're doing. At least like 4 interviews and these sorts of things, right? To get a job. At least mine did. And maybe things have changed. But in my opinion, if getting a software job as a vibe coder was so easy, then everyone would be working as a vibe coder. But they're not, right? So it looks like for the update he's using query parameters. Yes, I am. I am indeed. I am using query parameters. And a param here for the file ID to update. So for clarity, this is the directory ID that I'm updating, and then I'm using a query parameter to rename it. AI is making me not start today with web dev. I liked web dev. The people in the AI hub like don't learn React, etc. Don't listen to them, Jonas. And get a degree. Wasn't the case 10 years ago, but it is now. Yeah, I already have a degree as well. I should say I have a CS degree. That was the only reason I even got the job I have now, and it's not even in development. I couldn't get a job in development. I tried. I could have tried harder probably, but I didn't land an internship in software. I landed an internship. My internship was in IT, and that's where I ended up. 80% of my college classmates use AI without reading anything. It's weird. Yeah, that's very common. Just don't be like them, and take pride in learning yourself. And when you get to the end of the road, you'll actually realize, like, hey, I actually did the hard work, and I earned this degree, right? I see the AI hype as an opportunity to stand out. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I think Jonas, you can't, if you want to learn web dev, you definitely should, and you shouldn't let the AI hype people bring you down, because ultimately at the end of the day, they are doing that because they want to validate to the world that what they're doing is the right thing. You having a CS degree, would you say it's worth it? Yeah, it's the only reason I have the job I have today. So for me, it was worth it. My original question was to be why I use query parameters as the update method. Why not the body? It's easier to read, maintain, and debug. The reason I'm using query parameters instead of body stuff, it's a good question, actually. You do make a valid point. I don't know. I think it was kind of just an arbitrary decision, Moz. But you are right. You are right. And I could always refactor it. It was just, I think it was easier for me to just get up and running with first. Because again, I'm not trying to hyper optimize this in any sort of way. I'm just trying to get the thing to work. And if it works, that's happy for me. At least for this project. Like I'm not trying to release, like this is the thing that a lot of people, I'm not saying you don't. That's what you're trying to do. Nice. Yeah. So, a lot of people are like, oh, well, you're not shipping anything. This is a shit product. It's like, no, that's not the goal. The goal is just to like learn and make something. And this sort of rest semantics aren't obvious in the first time building something like this. Exactly. And like, I'm sure I'll learn those sorts of things. Like the way I'm handling errors is like, I'll probably look back on this code in like a year and be like, it's a mess. Right. But that's fine. And I'm okay with that. And I think we have to be okay with that kind of stuff. Even if we used AI to build working apps, there will always be technical debt. Yeah, exactly, Jonas. Yeah. And it's a good thing. It's totally a good thing because you don't learn otherwise, right? If you try, you can, and also if you try to do everything perfectly on the first go, you're never going to finish anything. Nothing's ever going to get done if you try to be, perfectionist. That was just something I caught. Fair enough, Moz. And I appreciate you catching that. Honestly, I do. And I'll take that into consideration. Like that is now that you think of it, it's a good idea because with a body, I could run it through like a Zod validation or something like that, right? And then kind of make sure it's type safe before I even send it to the backend. These sorts of things. So I get you. And it's easier to see where the data is. Like I get that 100%. And I may even refactor that at some point, even in this project. Okay. I will say though, premature optimization is bad is a terrible idiom. I didn't necessarily say that. I think it also depends on what your project is and what your goals are. The amount of vibe coded games I see on Twitter every day is absurd. Yeah. I agree. The amount of this purple vibe coded website makes me go crazy. Yeah. Okay, so let's test. And then the other thing that someone, and Moz, it's good that you mentioned that. The other thing that someone brought up last stream was, hey, why don't you have a test suite? Reason being, I only have 10 hours a week to do these streams, and like I just haven't gotten around to building one yet. And like it's not that I should build one. It's a matter of like A, the time I have, and B, what learning outcomes I want to get out of these streams. Oh, fair enough. Fair enough, innovation. No, I appreciate you saying that because I think it is important to be said, even for VOD watchers as well. Like it is an important thing because I think if you optimize early, in some cases, it can save you a fuck ton of headache down the road. So I totally agree, but you have to do it in a context that makes sense. I think, right? Because if you're just learning, that's one thing. But if you're building like a humongous app that will potentially have millions of users at some point, like you want to do that, get those things in place early. Okay, so let's continue forward. So let's test these other edge cases. So we tested, whoops, that's not what I wanted to do. What do I want to test here? Okay, so let's check that the directory, so if we're moving to a directory that doesn't exist, right? So let's just copy this one and then like change the first character, right? So if this doesn't exist, it's going to say directory to move to cannot be found. Okay, good. So that's that. If we give it nothing, no queries, it'll say nothing to update, which is good. And then cannot modify the root directory. We already got that edge case. Directory with name in the directory already exists. So we already got that one too. I think that's all of the edge cases. And if we give it no directory to move. Okay, so it doesn't even find it. Fair enough. If we do this, then it'll say directory to move cannot be found. Yeah, if we give it an invalid directory. Yep. Here. I got the classic whynotai command. You can also read my FAQ here. I think next stream, you seem to be streaming and coding. Yes, I am. I'm doing both. I don't just code or just stream. I do both. I try to juggle it. It's not easy, but I do both. Do I make a lot of progress each stream? Not really, but that doesn't bother me. If it's something I dislike is writing tests manually, I think utilizing AI for that specifically is reasonable because they do consume time. Yeah, no. I agree, Moz. I do agree. I can 100% see myself doing that sort of thing. In the future, like once I learn how to do it manually at least a few times so that I can actually go through the tests myself and validate them. Would you recommend streaming? I would recommend streaming if you are comfortable talking to the camera, I guess. I would recommend that, and I would also recommend it if you want a really good way of holding yourself accountable. So if that interests you, you should give it a go. Would you be interested in trying mobile development? Yeah, absolutely. Like in the future, for sure. Elga. Or El Gabriel, sorry. Sorry, it's hard to read usernames when it's all like one string. Were you camera shy when you first began? Yeah, I was. If you go back to, guys, go back to my day one stream, like it's totally a different vibe. It's a different vibe because I wasn't used to it. I wasn't used to streaming. I was like brand new to it. Okay. So let's go back to our to-do list. Implement file modification. We did that. And then we need to do file and directory deletion. So this is going to be fairly trivial, I think. What do you say about cybersecurity roles that don't involve web development? I think they're good. I think they're good, Marco. I think they're good. Okay, so let's... it was way different than it is now. Yeah, exactly. And that's just because, like, I found my rhythm as I did this. Like I have 135 streams under my belt, right? Those two go together like ice and fire, streaming and coding. Fair enough. It's like oil and vinegar. So that's a, you know, that's your opinion. I think it's good to do both. Because we do actually, you know, contrary to popular belief, we actually do make progress. It's just not that fast. But again, I am more concerned about, you know, making the stream, you know, something versus like, you know, blazing through a bunch of progress. Okay, let's actually, what was I going to do? Oh yeah, I was going to like create another file. So we have our, this dir, and then what we could do is we could create another directory underneath it maybe. So if we do our posts, so what does our post look like for dir new posts? Body, and so we're getting parent ID from the body, and then yeah. So some of these for like the posts, I'm actually utilizing the body. It was only the puts that I wasn't. So like for this, for instance, I can do, we can create a new directory, right? So we can do our parent ID. And then we kind of have that. So let's do a parent ID of this dir. And then we'll do our name is, you know, subdir or something like that, right? Are you interested in implementing AI like LLMs into web apps? Not particularly. Also, I'm not going to be able to read every single chat at this point. Okay. Let's just do this. What? Drive dir. Oh, because of this. Okay. Parent ID and name need to be strings. Oh, because it needs to be in the form of form data, right? Right. I forgot that I had it. It's not JSON. It's form data. That's the reason. Okay. So, and then name is subdir. Okay, that should work. Why? Parent ID and name need to be strings. Oh, it's just parent. That's fine, maybe. There we go. Cool. Now we created another directory. So we have this subdir, which is underneath this dir, which is underneath documents, which is underneath root. Very good. You're back on Windows now and everything's so slow? Damn, yeah. That's a very Windows moment. Yeah, but one role is it doesn't involve web development. I think it's fine if your role doesn't involve web development. My role doesn't involve web development. Imagine running Docker on Windows. Jeez. I don't really... That's why I ask. I hate CSS, not because I cannot learn it. I hate design things. It's fair, Marco. You can definitely do dev jobs or cybersec jobs that don't involve design. In fact, most don't, really. All right, let's do our another break, even though we've kind of been, you know, taking a break this whole time. This whole time. That's all right. I don't mind. Linux really spoils you. Yeah, exactly. Innovation. Yep. And JS because of its errors. Fair enough, Marco. You can do, like, cybersec. You don't have to do web dev and cyber. Like, you don't have to do both of them. Yeah, what did Moz say about... You still don't blindly accept anything that an AI produces? Yeah, I agree. Just catching up on chat. How's Linux when I'm gaming? I play pretty chill games that don't require... Like, I don't play online games that much. Like, super large online games. So, for me, it's great. Because any indie game that doesn't run natively on Windows or on Linux, I just use Proton for, and it works fine. Because I don't play like all of those like arena shooter games that, you know, necessitate Windows due to anti-cheat and these sorts of things. So for me, it's great, but it's definitely not for everybody, I don't think. And there's some games like if Tyler was here, Tarkov requires Windows, I think. So, you know, in that case, you kind of, if you want to play games like that, you have to run Windows. You need to do DevOps, that's fair. I just want roles in cybersec that don't involve web development. I know some Python a little, but systems and networks. Yeah, I would argue, Marco, that most don't involve web dev. Most cybersec roles don't. Like, they're not, there's no overlap. Or, well, there is maybe a little bit, but not much. However, I will warn you that especially like cybersec has a bit of overlap with IT. A lot of cybersec, especially if you're like a SOC analyst, is a lot of administrative work. You're not actually doing that much technical stuff. Like a tier 1 SOC analyst is basically like help desk, but for cybersecurity. So, I mean, what would you say my favorite games are? Well, okay, this is going to be really cliche, but I grew up in the era of Minecraft being huge, so I still play a lot of Minecraft, which, you know, Linux is perfectly fine for. And like a lot of like indie Steam games I play. I play various titles, from like RPGs to kind of like, I have a fondness for simulation games. I quite like, or like tycoon games, like Roller Coaster Tycoon. I love, I don't know, play a lot of different stuff. But no, Minecraft's probably my favorite game, which is, you know, unfortunate, but it's true. It's just, if I'm being honest with myself, I played Minecraft since 2010, so, you know, 16 years. I've played it since the alpha versions when I was like 10 years old. Could be wrong, but cybersec heavily leans on low level. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, the thing with cybersec is it's not like, depending on what you're doing, it's not a lot of programming, especially like low level cybersec. Like low level cybersec is like, it's like help desk. Like basically you're running tests for certain clients, or you're notifying clients when there was a vulnerability or like someone clicked a link or something, and then you're going through like a quarantine protocol or whatever the hell. And I only know this because we work with our company we contract out our cybersecurity stuff. So we work with SOC analysts that are like external. And they kind of like give us reports anytime that there's like a vulnerability detected or whatever. But like usually it's like they have the systems already in place and they're just like monitoring the systems. Setting up FortiGate and Fortinet. Yeah, exactly, Jonas. Yeah. The other thing too, you don't know where to start to learn. I think there's a lot of like cybersecurity 101 courses out there, Marco. But it might not be as much programming as you think, because cybersecurity is more IT adjacent, I would say. Which IT is more about administering existing systems rather than actually making new ones. Right? Like that's what my day job is. Like I'm a systems analyst, right? I mean, that's like not really what my title is, but like that's essentially what I do. I'm like a IT analyst, right? So I do a lot more than just that, but that's like nominally what I do, kind of. But yeah, I'm like tier 2. Like but again, like a lot of my work is like I work with existing stuff rather than making anything. And if I do make anything, it's like a small little PowerShell script to, you know, apply a license to a deployed application or something like that. Am I in the east, the west? I'm in Eastern Canada. Eastern time, so like Eastern North America, but Canada specifically. Okay, let's do another round here. So we should test. Okay, so now we created this, and the other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to upload some files into. I'm going to upload a file into our subdir as well. And I think, what do I need for that again? Drive file post. We just need the file and the dir ID. So the file and the dir ID. And then so for our dir ID here, we're going to get our 0b. And then for the, or sorry, no. That's the dir ID's here. And then the file is, we'll just select one. We'll do our test.txt again. And then if we post to that, should be fine. No directory provided. Oh, because it's just this. Drive. I think. Drive router up post body limit. Yeah, that should be fine. Status 400. What? Oh, because it's dir. That's why. There we go. Now we uploaded a file. So we should see our new test.txt. Well, we have a lot of different test.txts, but it's underneath that 0b file, which is that subdir. Or sorry, here, this one. Yeah, good. I should also probably rename it too. And then we'll do the ID of that guy. This record is this. And then we'll say new name is test file.txt. There we go. So now it should be called test file. Yeah, perfect. Okay. Cool. Would you say that some of your IT knowledge could be applied to web dev, or did you have to learn from the beginning? Definitely had to learn from the beginning. There's very, very little overlap. I'll be back in a bit if you're still around. Got to run to the store for some stuff. No worries, Salty. Have a safe trip. But yeah, I'll be live for another hour and a bit, hour and a half. We're doing 5 Pomos tonight, so. All right. So let's continue forward. So we're going to implement file and directory deletion. So first thing we need is our queries. So we're going to do our exports, const delete dir or delete file by ID. User ID is user ID type, and ID is file, entity type, ID. Very, very, very basic. We've done this many times. And then we're going to say if not ID, return, and then we're going to do const deleted file is equal to await db.delete, and now file entity. And then I need to figure out what's the delete syntax. Okay, so it's just a delete and then a where. And then we're going to do an and equals user file entity dot user ID and equals file entity dot ID is ID. And then we're going to say yeah, return deleted file. We don't have to check really if it exists because, I mean, we're just deleting it, so that's fine. Now, that should be good. So then we're going to do our drive file controller. Export const drive file update put. And then export const drive file delete async. And then we need to get our user as well. Like that. Is the syntax from MySQL and PostgreSQL vastly different? Yeah, they're very similar, Excel. They're very similar. Because they're both SQL. There's just some things about Postgres. There's some slight differences, but like if you know Postgres and you want to use MySQL, like 95% of the things are going to be the same. There just might be some things that you can only do in one versus the other. But if you know SQL, generally speaking, those are quirks that you can, figure out. Yo, what's up? JMac, WhatsApp. Actual spyware, by the way. But then again, so is everything from Meta, probably. It's kind of funny. I don't know. I would never use WhatsApp, but I don't even know why people use it. Like, what's the point? Like, it's just like another thing. Like, you've already got like SMS, iMessage, Discord, Facebook Messenger. Like, I don't use Facebook Messenger, but like, there's so many different, like, it's just another thing. It's just another messaging app. Anyway, I don't mean to belabor that too much. Okay, so let's go to, so let's get our file. So we're going to do const, we're going to actually get it from the body, I think, right? Or no, we're going to get it from our, do we do it as a param? I guess we do it as a param, right? Rest delete. I think we give it a param. Yeah, okay, we do. Okay. So we do c.rec.param, and then we're going to say file ID. So it's good. And then we're going to check that it exists first, which is pretty easy. Const file to delete is equal to wait drive query dot select file by ID, user.id, and then file ID. And then if not file to delete, then return c.json. Success is false, and then message is file with the given ID does not exist. Sure. Yo, what's good, Tweaks? How's it going? Okay, so that's good. And then, okay, so we've checked that it exists. Now we know it exists, so we can say const success. We can say const deleted is equal to or deleted file, I should say, maybe. Naming's stupid. File deleted. File deleted is equal to await drive query dot. Oh, and then do I do a returning? Oh yeah, we can. Okay. So for this we can do our returning. What, like I'll just return everything. That's fine. Drive query dot delete file by ID, user.id, and then file ID. Now we'll say if file deleted, then return c.json. Success is true, and data is file deleted. Now, and then if it fails, then we'll just say throw new HTTP exception 500 file deletion failed or something. We shouldn't get to this point, right? Okay, good. Can you show us the results? I'll get there. I'll get there. Yo, I'm doing well, Orb Weaver. I hope you're doing all right. Okay, so that's our file delete. So we can check that works, right? So if we go, we actually need to hook it up to the router, of course, right? So let's do our delete here. So drive router dot delete, and then we'll do file ID. Drive file delete. There we go. Would you say is the hardest part of writing in the back end? Probably type safety. I'm doing all right. That's nice. I'm glad you're doing. I'm glad you're doing all right. More than halfway down the week. You know, looking forward to the weekend. These sorts of basic corporate things that we look forward to, right? Anyway, let's continue forward. So that's good. So now we can test this, I think. So if we have a file that we want to delete, so let's go to our database. So let's say we want to delete BenStack logo, which is in where? So the BenStack logo is inside of the this dir directory. So we can take the ID of this guy. And then we can just do a delete like this. So if we send a delete over of a valid file. Oh, okay, so it didn't. Oh, because drive slash, of course. There we go. And so that's our thing. And then if we refresh this, we should see no more BenStack logo in here. Nice. So the deletion seemed to work. Now if we try and delete again, it'll say file with given ID does not exist, which is exactly what we want. Now that's good. So I think that's everything. There's no other edge cases with that. So what framework do you use? I use my own. You can read about it here. Yeah, XLMAR, got it. You can read about it at that pastebin link, Orbweaver. What will you do with this project? This project's purely for learning sci-fi. It's just for learning. I might deploy it. I probably will deploy it, but it's purely a learning project. Why do you use AI? Like small help for stuff? I got you. You can also read my FAQ as well. Okay. So I also need to update my FAQ because it's a little dated. That's all right. Okay, so now we need to do the dir deletion, right? So we need to do that. So one more query: export const delete dir by ID. Now the thing that we need to test with this is that the cascade deletion works. So for instance, if we delete a directory that contains other files, like subdirectories and shit, then we want to make sure that all of those are deleted, right? So that's the catch with the deleting of the directory, right? Is we delete everything that's underneath it. At least we should. Now we'll find out if that actually does work. Because we define that as such inside of our database, right? So if we go to our directory schema, or no, sorry, our file schema on delete cascade, so that should work the way we want it to, I think. What do you take help? Oh, I guess don't know everything about how to build. Yeah, so for me, I use the documentation and chat and Google. Could it give out a warning before it deleted it? Yeah. So the warning, XLMAR, is going to be on the front end. The warning is going to be on the front end, right? Because the front end is where the user is actually going to be interacting with it. But once the request makes it to the back end, we don't need a warning. The warning's on the front end, right? So we haven't gotten there yet. The front end is, front end is not our concern at the minute. We're just trying to finish the back end. However, I think we will get to the front end shortly. So we just need to write this one more query. Which again, this try catch is a nightmare, but that's fine. So we have all of our queries here. And then we're going to say if not ID, return, and then we're going to say const deleted directory is equal to await db.delete directory entity dot where, and then we're going to do our and. This is very similar to everything we've done before, where we're just getting the making sure the user ID and the ID match. Right. dot ID is ID. And then we'll just return it. Deleted dir. We want to just return the first result, though, actually, now that I think about it. Because I think this does give us a, yeah, it gives us a list. So, okay. So there's the query written. And then now we can get rid of this, I think. That's fine. And then we'll say export consts drive dir delete. Did I call it drive file delete? I did. Okay. So that's fine. And then we're going to get our user again. Now, realistically, I should catch this inside of the middleware, inside of here. So instead of setting to null, I should just do an early return. But that's fine. I'm not too concerned about that. Like, what kind of documents can you guide? Like, if we want to build... Yeah, so XLMAR linked to Odin. So I use the Odin project, I shan't. Well, it's so good that you're doing this. Hope that the thing that Boris Cherney said won't happen. I don't know. I don't know who that is, Chris. Yeah, I mean, again, there are ways of using AI that aren't like reckless, Jonas, and I think that's fair enough. It's the creator of Claude Code. Oh, got you, Chris. Got you. Yeah. Well, you know what? He can, you know, suck it because I'm not using Claude Code. Too bad. There are millions of other kids out there that are using it. So, but no, I'm not. And I know Claude Code. I think Claude Code's free, but I'm not giving Anthropic my money or OpenAI or anybody. I don't want to support them. I remember I got into .NET for a bit, but then switched to something else. Nice. Yeah, .NET is like, if you're in the Windows game, that's kind of like, that's .NET. If you want to be in the Microsoft ecosystem. The issue is CEO and business people don't understand shit. Yeah, that's the problem, Jonas, for sure. And that's even happening, like, you know, like anywhere. Like, so, you know, the AI usage and the AI sycophancy, if that's a word, is crazy. It's AI psychosis, really, I think is what it is. You know, people are deluded by what it can do or can't do, and it's just like it creates a nightmare. Okay, so then we'll do const dir to delete is equal to await drive query dot, oh, and then I also need to get the ID, right? So const dir ID is equal to c.rec dot query, not query dot param dir ID. And then dir to delete is derive query dot select dir by ID, and then user dot ID, and then dir ID, and then if not dir to delete, return c.json. Success is false. Message is directory. What was the message here? Directory with given ID does not exist. Okay. Good. Have a good one, Dan. Appreciate you. He said that software engineers will just be prompting in the future and only review the code. People are still working there. He said 90% of the Claude Code app is CLI, is AI only. Yeah, that's crazy, Chris. You may use ChatGPT or Claude to ask for certain areas to learn from it. Yeah, fair enough. But again, even still, you know, I think there's still something to be said about the fact that it can make mistakes, right? AI is not infallible. I understand that the models have gotten better, and I appreciate that, and I think the likelihood that it just hallucinates something ridiculous is lower than it was maybe a year ago, but I still think that, you know, the possibility is never zero. And I think, you know, even the fact that it is a possibility is dangerous enough that we shouldn't be blindly trusting it. Not to mention that, and also just like the code bases of large programs created by AI are just incredibly unapproachable, even by like seasoned developers. Like there's no, it's not accessible. And it's like, sure, you could get Claude Code to read its code base that it created and create its own documentation for it. But then like, what if it like hallucinates documentation? Like, I don't know. It's just a bad, I don't like it, man. And it's like, sure, maybe it's like 90% good. Sure. Who cares about code quality, right? Like these sorts of things. I don't know. People say that. I don't know. My opinion is you still need to know and understand what is going on with your software that you build, even if it's not good. Like that's the other thing. Like I'm making, sorry, I have like something in my eye. I'm making software that's arguably bad. Like it's not good software, but I'm you know, you can only get better by doing things yourself, right? I don't know. Again, it's just my opinion too, right? So, okay. So then what we need to do is we need to say const dir deleted is equal to await drive query. Oh, and the other thing I need to do for this auth controller, or not the auth controller, for the query is I need to dot returning this as well. Am I hyped for GTA 6? I've honestly never played GTA before, or Vonnie. I think Anthropic might die. Fair enough, JMac. Well, I'm not a software engineer. I'm just a sysadmin for like 4 years. Oh, nice, Chris. Hosting stuff in my love. Fair enough. Yeah, I mean, I also do a bit of sysadmin stuff in my job too, so that's awesome. Not as much as I did, but I'm in IT. More of like a systems analyst rather than an admin, but that's cool. But yeah, no, that IT is my day job. I just stream on top of my day job. There's still an outside chance of the AI exposing your code base. Yeah, exactly, right? And it's happened, Orb Weaver. Like it's happened. My theory is that they want AI to replace Sweeze for more cheap and worse labor and people to blindly trust it so it doesn't realize what they're straight up on. Yeah, exactly. You're gonna try the path of DevOps engineer? Nice. Nice. Well, I wish you the best of luck with that endeavor. I would eventually like to make money from software, whether that's doing content creation and teaching people software, or you know, whatever it is, or making software that people like, making software, you know, people buy, or whatever it is. Like eventually, I'd like to make money doing what I'm doing. You know, and I'm making a little bit of money, but it's, you know, it's like pocket change at this point. But that's fine. Delete dir by ID, and then dir ID. Okay. And then if dir deleted, then return c.json success is true, and then data is dir deleted. Otherwise, throw new HTTP exception 500 message. Directory could not be deleted. Okay. Very similar stuff here. Okay. So that's good. Nice. Now I just need to hook it up to the router. Drive router dot delete slash dir ID. Then drive file, or drive dir delete. And I need to import it, of course. Yes. Good. Yo, how's it going, Kunal? Thank you very much, man. It's also nice to meet you. Yeah, I appreciate it's nice to meet you too, Chris. I appreciate you watching. Sorry, I don't look at chat every second. They're thinking that lowering the cost was doing the exact opposite. On top of that, many companies are just outsourcing to India. Yeah. Your dream is to work within web software development. You'll get there, Excel. You'll get there, my friend. I believe. Do you struggle to find like-minded people in this day and age? On the internet, surprisingly no, because my channel kind of self-selects for folks that are interested in what I'm interested in, right? So I've got a group of, 4,400 people that are interested in the same thing I'm interested in, pretty much, or else they wouldn't have subscribed, right? Or at the very least, they want to watch me do what I'm doing, right? And now, occasionally I get haters that comment, bro, you're like an AI living in the Stone Age, you're an AI boomer, these sorts of things. It's like, hey, well, those people aren't sticking around in my community, right? And then I've got an even closer group of people that are in the Discord. So those are a lot of like-minded folks. So I would say on the internet, it's not that hard. But however, in my real life, it is difficult. In my real life, it is hard to find people that understand where I'm coming from, I will say. But on the internet, no, just because of the sheer amount of people on the internet. Yo, how's it going, Dwith? I appreciate you. Welcome. I'm obviously have a lot more to learn, but I enjoy the process of it. That's all that matters. You just got to be hungry for it, XO. Have you tried DevOps Path? I have not, actually. I know a little bit of DevOps, but not really. Like I know of it, but I've never really done much with it, Chris. We want a day in the life vlog? Yeah. Well, here's the thing. It's like I don't do a lot of things, guys. Like I work from home. I don't do much in a day. I don't think my day's interesting enough to vlog. To be totally honest with you. Like I quite literally just like do my work, make food, go for a walk, and then stream. And that's it. Yeah. There's not much to my day, really. Like, it would be such a boring vlog. But yeah. Are you going to do leak code soon? I could. If the demand is high enough, I'll do it again. I actually, if you aren't aware, when very beginning of this channel, I actually tried to do leak code, but I didn't think anyone liked it, so I stopped doing it. But no, I could, for sure. But yeah, what was I gonna say? I had an idea, but then I forgot. Damn. If you could use some fast API, I could. Well, I've never dabbled in Python backend before. So currently for the supporters only stream, so if you decide to graciously support the channel, I do one stream a week that's dedicated to the supporters, and right now I've just started learning Go, which is a backend. Well, I mean, it could be used for web development. It's a statically typed programming language used primarily, I believe, for backend web development. Leak code is a buns process. What do you mean by buns? Am I too old for that? Like in that it's bad? Like, is that what you mean? Like, it's a bad process? I'll do that by joining. Yeah, you have to. Well, the thing is, Jonas, you have to like. It's like and obviously you don't have to. Like, this is only if you can, but to support the channel, you have to join. It costs money, like just a small way. Like, if you want to support the channel and support what I'm doing, if you throw a few bucks my way every month, like that's kind of what it's there for. But it's absolutely optional. If you want any system and stuffs with your project, I'm glad to help. Have a good night, guys. I appreciate that, Chris. Thanks for coming. We should all learn Scratch. Yeah, exactly. We could do a Scratch stream at some point. But no, yeah, the supporting the stream, like by joining with like the YouTube membership thing, like that's entirely like you don't have to do that. I just wanna, if you want to support the stream, it's there, and I do one exclusive stream a week. If you're doing fast API, well, I can't guarantee I'll do it right away, but I might try it someday, Jonas. But it's unfortunate because I wanted to charge $5 US a month, right? And I set it to charge $5 US a month. However, YouTube sneakily adds a 30% markup and doesn't tell me. So I think it actually costs like $7 US or something like that, or $6 US. I don't remember. But YouTube added a markup without me trying, like wanting to add it. So like that's kind of annoying because I wanted it to cost $5 a month to support me, but I think it's like $6 or something. It's just like $8 Canadian, which is not what I wanted. I wanted it to be like $6 Canadian. Do you have a degree? Yes, I do. I have a CS degree. Like it's not really fun to grind for. Yeah. That's kind of what I thought. Contextually, I think leak code still unfortunately is used a lot in tech interviews. At least that's what I've heard. Because like the barometer to measure success is like, there is no barometer. That's the barometer, which is bullshit. But it is what it is. But no, I think having a degree. And I'm not a SWE, guys. Like if you want to talk to a SWE, talk to I think JMac is a SWE. You can talk to JMac in chat. But at least for my IT job, it was pretty important. I'm doing leak code prep right now because I have an upcoming interview. Otherwise, I don't want to do it. Yeah. Wait, is your internship over? Or is that like it's probably about to be over, eh? It's like nearing middle of August. It's probably close. It's weird that Meta said 75% of their code is AI generated and they still do leak code. Yeah, exactly. Like it's because like how else would they like otherwise they might as well just hire like Joe off the street if it's just gonna be all vibe coded. I do a little C here and there, but I can't really make GUIs because of the BS Win API. Yeah, GUIs in C, that's one thing for sure. That's a moment right there. Okay, I think we should now be good to test this, right? So let's test this out. So if we go to our drive, so let's just try and delete. So if we delete our 0B drive, then the test file should go with it because we have the test file underneath it, right? And so if we do /drive/dir/, and then we delete this sucker. All right, so we deleted it. Now we have one less directory, so that subdir is gone, and our file entity should be gone as well. So yeah, no more test file. So that did delete. And then, so how many things are under this dir? So that's under root, this dir. Or no, they're all under documents, I should say. And then if we put in another file, like if we create, so that did work ostensibly, right? And if we try it again, it's going to say directory with given ID does not exist because we deleted it. So that's good. I think that works. And it deleted all the sub files. Now I need to test whether it deletes subdirectories as well. Now I could just nuke this entire thing. So if I go to, well, actually I don't really want to do that. Now that I think about it. We have this dir, and then we could create like another subdirectory inside of this dir, right? So let's go to our post drive dir, and then what does the post need? So drive dir controller, drive new dir post needs a parent and a name. So the parent is gonna be the this dir, and the directory or the name is going to be subdir or this dir sub. Sure. Okay. No. Now this should be fine. Okay, then we created that. And then we can do this dir sub, and then what we can do is we can upload a file inside of that. Whoops. And then for that, we need to do file and a dir ID. So we need our dir, which is going to be this ID. And then our file is, let's just do our test. And then we'll upload that. And then so we have our sub test.txt. Now we have this dir sub. And if we make another directory inside of the this dir sub, So parent is this. I think I called it parent, right? Yeah, and the name is this dir sub. Or sub2, I guess. I'm just creating some subdirectories. Okay, so now we have this dir sub2, and this dir sub has its parent is this dir, it should be, right? No, it's documents. Why is that? Or is this dir sub's parent is documents? Oh, so this dir and this dir sub are actually in the same directory. And then this dir sub 2 is underneath this dir sub. And then we also have a file entity inside of this dir sub, which is that test.txt. Now, if we delete this dir sub, this dir sub 2 and the test.txt should delete, right? So if we go to delete, and then we do drive dir and then give it the ID. Internal server error, interesting. Oh, is it because... Yo, how's it going, HMU? Welcome, welcome. So you just use CLI apps? Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. Sorry, it's taking me a minute to get to chat. I'm just trying to... It's hard to focus and read chat at the same time. If you know, you know. So this was our error thrown from the database, right? So delete from directory entity, where directory entity is user ID. Params pn, so this is our user ID, and then our directory ID. Update or delete table, directory entity violates for key constraint. Oh, is it because... Are we, when we define the directory entity, are we doing an on-delete cascade for those too? That's the other thing I need to notice, because deleting a directory that has a subdirectory is causing trouble. Yo, Salty, how's it going? Yeah, it needs cascade deletes. Yeah, I thought I set that. Oh, maybe not. Ah, it does actually. And then we need to do on delete. That's what we need. So we need that inside of our parent ID. And then now I need to remigrate this. Right? So we need to do db or pnpm run db generate. Okay, and then pnpm db or run db push. Nice. Now this should succeed because we have our on delete here with this parent ID. So I did miss that, Hated. Good catch. How's it going? I'm Evelyn. How's it going, Evelyn? Welcome, welcome. Okay, so this should work. Nice. So now this dir sub 2 should be gone. And the other test.txt should be gone. Beautiful. So then, yeah, there's no other test.txt. So this test.txt, well, these are both underneath the same directory. Wasn't there a thing with that? I don't remember. It's under documents, and this is under documents. Okay, so there's a duplicate file. I don't know why there's a duplicate file underneath that. I don't remember why. Oh, is it because... I think the reason that is because if we move a file and rename it at the same time, I think that gets around that. Okay. So yeah, that's the other thing that we need to fix, right? So we have the deletion working. So the deletion's working. Jesus, I want this over here. So file directory deletion. Now the other thing that we need is with our API, prevent file collisions or name collisions when moving file at the same time as renaming it. Right, so that's the other thing that we need to fix. Oh, I already had that in planned. That's funny. So I actually need to do that and handle potential file name collisions on update. Okay, so that's what we need to do. Okay. So I think that's our main issue with this test here, right? So if we try to create a new file and it doesn't insert new file, array buffer, or when we post a new file, are we even checking that the name already exists? Interesting. So how do we get the name of this then? I think we need to check for collision here, right? So when we post a new file, we also have to check for a name collision. So that's the one thing we need to do. Because if we uploaded another test.txt into documents, that would work. So with our drive new file post, we need to do a collision check. So we need to do our like a const file exists is equal to await drive query dot select file by name, and then we need the user.id, the directory ID, and the name, which is file.name. Yeah, because remember, this is not our file type. This is the file type that's given to us from the body of the request, right? So cool. I'm just making sure it's not too dark. It's getting a little dark in my room. I'm probably gonna at the next break turn my light on. So yeah, we have to check for these collisions, and then yeah. So then what we need to do is we need to say if file exists, then return c.json. Success is false, and message is file could not be uploaded because another file with the name file.name already exists. So that collision should be good for our create, right? Methinks. Okay. Good. All right. Now we can test that by trying to upload test.txt to our documents folder. Right? So we can do that. We can do our posts, drive, and then we're going to do dir ID or file and then dir. All right, so this is the dir we want to upload to. And then this needs to be a file. And if we do test.txt, this should fail, and it should say file cannot be uploaded because another file with the name already exists. Nice. I actually need to put it in quotes as well. I probably need to escape the quotes. Oh, they're already escaped in the response. That's fine. Okay, fair enough. I'm sure there's a better way of doing that, but that's okay. All right, cool. Maybe I use single quotes, actually. That's better. Okay. Nice. So that there's a collision on create. Now, we don't have any collisions with read. Yo, I'm doing all right, Solus. Welcome, welcome. File update. So file update, we already have the collision checks, I think, right? Because if we try to rename, one of these files, so let's just do drive, and then we're going to give it the file. So let's do the fav. Let's try to rename favicon. Is favicon? Okay, favicon's in the root. So let's try to rename profile picture. And then new name is equal to test.txt. So this should fail. Yeah. Okay. So that's good. I'm gonna add single quotes here as well. So that collision works. Now, if we move it and rename it, that might be another thing. Because if we try to move, let's try to move and rename favicon at the same time. Now I wonder if it will move it but not rename it. It'll show us fail. Like, so this is the thing. Append plus n and allow the upload. Oh, I could do that, Hated. I could do that. That's actually a good idea. But then, oh, so you know what I could do? Okay, actually, wait, you make a good point. Let's actually implement that instead of just banning the upload. So select file by name. The query only returns one thing. But I think we want to return the count that exists, right? So instead of just returning file 0, but then that would be modifying the query for the whole thing. So you know what we can do? We can do this. We can say select all is equal to, is a Boolean, and then it's by default false. And then so what we can do is we can say if file 0 return select all file otherwise file 0. Something like this, I think, would be fine. Yeah, exactly. So that's so basically we're doing this just so that we can have like a select all, a way of selecting all files. So like if there's multiple files. Oh, but then the thing is though, is it won't select all the files by name because they'll all have the same name. But yeah, that's gonna be weird because because they're gonna have different names, right? So that actually won't work. This approach won't work. So what I'd actually have to do is I'd have to strip the bracket 0 off the end of it. Like, that's really weird. Yeah, I gotta think about that, right? Because we want to make it so that we... I mean, I have another... I have another worse solution, which is really bad. The thing that just popped into my head, and I'm not doing this, but you could just like try to upload the file, and if it fails, you increment by 1. If there's a name collision, increment n by 1 until there's no name collision. you just do a loop. So you keep trying to upload the file until there's not a name conflict. That would be dumb though. That's like a dumb solution. There's got to be a better way of handling that though. Yo, how's it going, Marcus? Welcome. But yeah, I don't know, man. Because like this select all won't actually work because there's not going to be... Yeah, it's weird because... Instead of an equal, I could do like a like here, like a partial match. What day is it on Google Drive clone? I don't know. On this iteration of the Google Drive clone, I want to say like day 10 probably. I mean, what the count should do, you can have 5 icon. Yeah. Like, what do you mean, like, the count of... Like, how would you store that, though? Someone suggest me the best resources to learn Flask. Yeah, I'm not the best for that. Does Free Code Camp have Flask resources? I don't know. You can find out. Python... I don't think so. Unless there's backend with... No. Doesn't look like it. Does not look like it. Yo, Tony. It's literally how Windows does it. Yeah, no. I think the main thing, the thing that we got to figure out here is that like, what was I gonna say? We got to figure out how to actually track the count. Right. That's the main thing, because there's like multiple ways of doing it. Because the problem is like, is if we're using this, we have a limit 1 here anyway, which wouldn't even make sense. So we actually need to remove that. But like, what was I gonna say? Yeah, because this won't match. This will only match 1, because if, let's say we have like name and then name 1, name 2, name 3, that's not going to be captured by this select file by name query, right? Just dropped in since I saw your streaming status on Discord. I have no idea what's going on. Oh, wait. Are you... Hold on. Are you... I think... Do I know you? Because if I know you, that's hilarious. Anyway, I don't know if you're the Tony I'm thinking of, but if I know you, that's funny. But, okay. I don't mean to call you out, by the way. I just I don't know. Okay. Yup, that's you. Nice. That's awesome. I hope you're doing well, Tony. I hope you're doing well. But yeah, no, that is how Windows does it. I don't know. I've been doing this streaming thing for a while. It's kind of fun. That's funny that you joined though. I appreciate you joining. But yeah, man, I hope things are going well. I think the main thing here is figuring out like, is figuring out the count, right? So we could write another query to do like a count of everything but the ending. Friends reunited? Yes. Indeed. But no, that's awesome. Because we could do a select file by name, like, and then like fuzzy or something that like just checks for like that the name is contained within the file, because like, but that also won't work because, or we could do it by like regex or something. We could select it by regex. You know, something like this. So let's see. Do I do it in the same file? Maybe. Let's say select duplicates. And then we'll do an if. We'll do an if, an if else. I don't see how the select has to do with collision when uploading. Okay, so this is, well, I'll explain to you what I'm thinking. So essentially, let's say you have multiple files of the same, like let's say you have like, let's go back down here. Let's just write this out. So let's say you have like test, and then you have test 1 and then test 2. I want a way of selecting all of these so that we know what the next number is to put in. So like, let's say we're uploading another test. We count how many of these there are, and then based on that, we know that the next duplicate needs to be 3. That's kind of what I'm trying to do. Essentially, that's the problem I'm trying to solve right now. But yeah. All right. Okay. Let's take our 5-minute break here. But anyway, yeah, that's the issue. I think I'll get this in the next 25 minutes though. I think that only happens at upload, and your stupid idea was correct. You just try them until one is free. Yeah, but then you have to keep sending queries, though. Isn't that true? Like, don't you have to keep sending queries? That's, like, slower. I mean, I guess this way, it's kind of just, like, one query instead of multiple, right? Hey, what VS Code extensions do you use? I've always used Visual Studio on Windows, but I have a trip coming up and want to work on my MacBook. Yeah, so sending queries for what I missed the context. Oh, okay. So for as far as code the extensions, I really just I have my theme, which I don't know how to say your name. What is it? Abnombly. You posted, or you did the theme. It's this one, Adam One Dark, and then I don't know. I just have better comments, which is nice, and then I have like lint and like, you know. That's basically it. It's basically default. But anyway, sending queries. So basically, querying multiple field in multiple locations is slower. Yeah, you know what? That's a good point. All right, you know what? Yeah, it's fair enough. You make a good point. I respect that. Because but they're not. The thing is though, is they wouldn't be in multiple places, necessarily. But no, fair enough. Let me. I'll do that. I'll do the dumb approach. When in doubt, just do dumb approach. Linear time approach. Okay. But yeah, that's what we'll do. We'll do after the break. The lazy idea is often the correct one. Yeah, I mean, I guess it's fair. But like, we'd only be sending one query, but then I guess it would be like a multi-select, right? With like a regex. Yeah, so it's yeah, I don't know. It's again, potato. We can ask the user if they want to replace the file that's named and way. If not, then do the linear naming idea. Yeah, okay. So, well, the thing with that is then you'd have to send. Because what am I trying to do? Okay, let me walk through this. Okay, so let's say we're in a directory. Okay, let's say we're in a directory. Let's say directory, and then we have a bunch of files. Doesn't matter what the files are, right? But then we have like a file named tests, and then we have another file named test1, and then another file named test2. If we're going to then create another file with the name test, we need to count how many existing tests there are such that we can name it test3, for instance. That's what I'm trying to do. If that makes sense. I don't know how that would work. Well, I just thought of the idea. No. I think you could maybe do that on just the front end, Salty. I think there's a way of doing that on just the front end. Maybe. I'm not 100% sure. Don't quote me on that. But I think there's a way of doing it just on the front end. Okay. So something like this. I think just doing it overwrite directly, no warnings, I think that's fine. Because, like, realistically, what happens? The file was uploaded. Like, there's no, like, negative consequences of that. Also, right before I start, I'm just going to turn on the light in this room. Just 1 sec. There we go. It's a little tiny room. Okay. Just a little light in here. Okay. Let's continue. Oh, overwrite it. Oh, you're saying overwriting it. Sorry. Yeah. No. Sorry. What I read that as is like, just upload the thing with the extra name, like without warning the user, like with the prefix of the number. Yeah, see, that's what I was gonna do, innovation. That's what I was gonna do, but then we were like, oh, well, we could just do a linear. We could just like keep trying. We could just do like a linear loop and then keep trying to query to see when there's not a name conflict. Yeah, that's Wadi is essentially the approach I'm going to do. At the end of the day, this is just a toy app anyway, so it doesn't matter, right? Like, this is just for fun, so I don't really care. Okay. Now, we'd have to apply the same logic to the directory, right? But essentially what we do, okay, so if the drive file update, okay, so not update. Bro, you're not allowed to use frameworks for this challenge. This isn't a framework, my guy. I mean, like, technically it's not, but it's not a framework. It's a stack, but it's not a framework. I mean, I guess is Hano a framework? I don't know. Maybe it is, but it's not like a full stack framework. Linear search works too. I personally like the DB to do the heavy lifting. Yeah. Well, Hated's argument is that having the DB do the heavy lifting is too much work. But I could do that. Let's just do the linear search for sake of example. Okay, so let's say we have a new file. So if file exists, then instead, we're going to do our linear search. So what we're going to say is const name, or new, yeah, let's just say const name is equal to file.name plus 1. Actually, no. Const number, count. We'll say const count is, or not const, obviously, let count is 1, and then while then we got to do like we got to keep doing our queries, right? You want to make a Facebook marketplace for your dad? That's wild. Can I do a weights inside of a conditional? I don't know. We're going to find out. Because I don't really want to... Yeah, I can, I guess. user ID, dir ID, and then file dot name plus and then count in here, right? Count. Yay. I think that's good. And then just count plus plus. Now, the only problem is we need this count to actually be out of the counts in the wrong scope here. But if we do new file, insert new file, then we want this to be in an else. Is there a type for that? File schema? What's the type for this? Yeah, because we get the... well, I can just say const new file. No, it's fine. Or let new file. Okay. So I need a type for this guy. Now there is a type for it. Not derived query. Yeah, file entity type. File entity type is type of file entity dot infer inserts. Maybe we want to export this. Or actually, no. We can just say null. We don't need to export this, I lied. That's good. They should ban vibe coders. It's so cringe. I mean, people can do what they want. Okay. Okay, so data, name, path, good. So this is fine. Okay, so we're basically just iterating through. This is kind of redundant, but it's fine. No, you know what the other thing we can do is instead of doing this twice, this is bad. And then we can just do name. This is much better. That's much, much better. So now we're just doing that. Yo, how's it going, Fant? Welcome, welcome. Better for real? Yeah, I was doing it was a little too long. This way we're just storing the name and then just putting the name in dynamically. Now, actually, we don't care about the count being in that scope. The count can be inside of the if scope as well. So that's fine. So that's good. So I think that's a little better. That's a little cleaner. Okay. So now I think we're ready to test it. Indeed. So let's go to my thing. Whoops, wrong pane. Drizzle. So we have two tests here. Okay, so first of all, let's delete one of them. Actually, well, let's delete it using our official API. So drive and then delete. Good, so that should be gone. And then now, if I try to upload a new one to this directory, which is documents. Now we should see the name as test.txt1. Now the problem is the 1 is added at the end of the file extension. How are you going to unit test that? Yeah, that's the thing. There's no testing. There's no test suite. Sorry, not sorry. So it did work, and if I do it again, it'll add a test txt2. At least it should. Okay, but the problem is now we need to check for the file extension, right? But I mean, like, it does work, right? And then we do it a third time, it'll work, right? Yeah. Extension parsing. Yes, I know. But it does, it like at a glance it works, you know. True Linux Ways says it's just bytes. Yes. Well, that's kind of how quite literally the data we have here is just all bytes anyway. Right? Like this is our data of our text file. Like what does the test file even contain? Like if I open that up, go to over here, then I go to my thing. Like, what does this even have? Yeah, like this is what the test file contains for reference. I don't know if you can read that, but this is what it contains. It's just this. Put at the end of the file name was having x after. Why having x after .txt? Well, because the file name includes the extension what? I could just put it before a dot. Yeah. You know what I mean? Oh, or that. That works too. Wait, oh, like this. So let's delete these records. Unusual way to write it. Well, it saves us time. So now, if we upload it again, we'll see, yeah. Or you just search for the first dot at the end of the string. Yeah, I could do that. Yeah, I could do that. But then I'd have to like split the new file name and blah, blah, blah. You know what? You know what? You make a good point. Let's say API fix duplicate file naming to properly parse extension, or to properly parse extensions and put the count before the extension. And I'm going to add this as a P2 priority because it's not necessary, but we can have it inside of our plan anyway. So if we have extra time, we'll get there. I don't know why this was scrolling. But there, it's in our to-do list. I wrote it down anyway. Extensions ain't real. Yeah. Fair enough. Okay. So for the sake of just moving on, I think we should move on. Unless you want, would you like to see me try and tackle this in the next 11 minutes? Like, because I can. If you'd like to see this. A good idea for the Kanban Obsidian. I'll use it. Yeah, it's good. It's good. For sure. It is 100% good and worth it. I would recommend it. Okay. So we did that name collision, but what other name collisions could we have? Do we do, like, when we move a file, do we check for the file name? So instead of this thing, we need to include, but we need to include this code as well. Do I abstract this into its own? Maybe I do. Let's do this into its own function. This is Obsidian on the left. On the left is Obsidian. What's the extension you use on VS Code to show the planning to do? Oh yeah, no, it's Obsidian. Okay. So we're gonna say resolve file duplicate name. Duplicate name. Or maybe rename to generate. Resolve is fine. So now we can basically just put this in a function so we can reuse it. Yo, what's up? Final year CS student here. Like your content, busy doing malware analysis labs. Can't talk for long. Keep up the project. I appreciate that, Oliver. Welcome in. But I appreciate that you like it. Okay, let's continue. So let's abstract this into it. So we'll do export consts resolve file duplicate name. And then we're going to take in the file name as like a string, I guess. I mean, there's a better way of doing that, but it's fine. Okay. So we're going to do basically this, right? So we're going to say, and we also need the file of the dir ID. So we need the name, string, dir ID, string, and the that's it, I think, actually. And I think we can get this guy in here. But we don't need this. And so we'll just say this. And then we'll just return. This also needs to be async. Or file dot name. And if file exists, new file name is equal to await resolve file duplicate name for the name, so new file name, or file.name. User.id, dir ID. Good. Now we can do the same idea inside of our updater. Now dir2 ID, file ID, we get our file. So this is our file.dir ID. Although we're actually also going to have to check if it's the dir2 ID if we've moved. Okay, so that's the other thing we need to do. So the actual catch for this one is we need to actually check if we updated the dir2 ID. Right? Oops. Actually, no, we can do it like this. This is even more clever. dir2 ID or file.dir ID. So now that what this will do is it'll resolve. So essentially, if we're moving the file and updating the name, we'll pass in the dir2 ID. But if the dir2 ID is undefined, then we'll just use the file dir ID as a default. Now, if new file exists, we'll do this, and then we have our updated file, and then so instead of our new name, we're going to do new file name here. A lot of shitty naming, but that's fine. Good. Bro's making stuff is just project, yeah. No, I don't care about the 8 spaces for tabs. I think Hated's being a little he's being sarcastic, I think. But anyway, unless you're not, like if we go, yeah, those lines are a little long if we zoom out. But yeah, all right, so that should be good. Now we can test it, right? So if we theoretically, so if we go to our thing, so we have our test.txt, and then our directories are, we have this dir and documents. So let's upload a new file to this dir. And our this dir is this ID. Okay. Yeah, you're obviously messing around. Yeah, exactly. What do you use to zoom in and out of Visual Studio Code? I think it would make it easier to code. Literally just Command plus and Command minus, my friend. That's literally it. Okay, so we uploaded that file. So now we can see that there's the test.txt inside of our other directory, right? Inside of the this dir directory, which is a stupid name, but that's fine. Yo, how's it going, Codex? Welcome, welcome. You were using scroll wheel command? Yeah, no. You hold command and then press the plus button. Extra. That's how you do it. So now, if we move this test.txt and rename it at the same time, this should name it to itself to 1. I'm late, but I hope you had a good sesh. Yeah. We're about to wrap it up here, but yeah, it was a pretty good sesh, I think. We're just about wrapped up the back end. So let's do this. So you're gonna do our put drive slash, and then we're going to get that ID. This is the ID of that file. Let's just make sure it's the right one. It's in the test this dir, yep. So if we try to move this guy, so dir ID, or is it dir2 ID? What is the name of the query? dir2 ID, okay. dir2 ID is, like, we try to move it to this one, which is the same, the documents directory where the other test.txt is. So I'm moving this text.txt to be in the same directory as this one. And then now if I do that, oh, but you know why it's not going to work? Because we're not testing name conflicts with the new name. So we also have to check name conflict in here. Ah, okay, that's a good catch. So we have to do that too. Let's just finish that. Const, shit. This will basically be the same idea. And then we need to update the name. So we basically need to copy this code into here, because if we're just moving the file without renaming it, then yeah. Okay. Fellow Python user in chat. Enums for magic values. Yeah, I would say so. What? God, there's such a better way of handling this. So check new file exists. Okay, so maybe we don't need. So maybe we need to do this regardless if the dir2 ID is the same anyway. You know? I don't know. You know what? Let's write this down, because I don't know how to, I don't know exactly how to approach this problem yet. Because, okay, so basically, if we're moving, so we have a file named test.txt, so like this is our current directory. I'm just going to explain this. So this is our current thing. So we have a directory documents, and then we have a test.txt in here. And then we have another directory called, and I'll put a D as a prefix. So D and then this dir. And then we have another file called test.txt. And this is fine as it is. However, if we want to move this txt into here, we aren't renaming it, but we still need to check for a name collision, right? So if we want to move that there, we need to test for a name collision, which would be inside of this clause here. And then this part would be skipped because we don't have a new name defined. So we actually have to check for a name collision inside of this as well. So essentially, okay, so this is our current file structure. Our file structure looks like this, okay? So we have a documents folder, or a directory with the test.txt in it, and then a subdirectory called this dir with another test.txt in it, right? Now, when we update files, we can do one of two things. We can move the file, or we can rename the file. Now, if we're only moving the file like this, we're moving it into the, the parent directory, we're not actually checking for a conflict if we're only moving it. We're only checking for a conflict on rename. Now, if this was called like test1.txt, and then we were going to move it and rename it to test.txt in the same go, then that would check. But we're not. We're not renaming the file, but we still have to check for a name conflict. Does the directory also have the same issue with also the file inside? What do you mean? Like, so files can have the same name as long as they're in different directories. So like this file here is inside of this dir, so it can have the same name as the file inside of documents because it's in a different directory, right? But when we want to move this file into this guy, into the documents directory, then we're gonna have trouble. So we have to have that check, right? But we're not renaming it, you see, because we're just moving it. We're not renaming it. We're leaving it as test.txt, but then we also have to check for that and update the name accordingly. So that's another edge case that we need to include. And I'm actually going to write that down. I don't think I have time tonight to implement it. So for this, I'm actually just going to add a note to this. So I'm going to say file collision when moving. File name collision, or resolve file name collision when moving. Actually, I might even have this as its own to-do, to be honest with you. So I'll say API resolve file name collision when moving on updates, and then I'll give this a P0. Not P00, man. What am I doing? There we go. All right. So I think that's good. We'll do this in the beginning of next stream, and then we'll be done. Then I promise, then we'll be done. The back end, and then we'll do some front end fun stuff. So anyway, I think that's gonna do it for me tonight. I appreciate each and every one of you watching. If you want to follow along on my journey more, feel free to subscribe. Feel free to join the Discord if you'd like. It's free. I also do, feel free to support the channel if you'd like to support the channel. I do supporter streams once a week. And yeah, I'll see you all on Friday with a C stream. So we're going to be doing C on Friday, and then Saturday afternoon, my time will be more web dev. So I'll see you then.